Welcome back to the CYSTAL podcast. My name is Cossy. Welcome back to a brand new video. This is your preview. Arsenal take on Crystal Palace this Monday. I hate Monday Night Football, but we take on Crystal Palace on Monday Night Football, and we have no excuses. We have to perform better. We have to capitalize on Manchester United and Newcastle dropping points. And I want Arsenal to get back into the top 4 this weekend. I want your predictions right in the comment box below. Let me know, do you think Arsenal will win this one? Do you think the performance will be better? Do you think we will create more chances? Which other changes do you want Arsenal to make? Apart from, Alexander Zinchenko maybe coming into the side for Jeren Timber. Do you want David Raya to start? Do you want Leandro Trossard to start as well? Talk to me in the comment box below and your prediction as well. So let me know what is going to happen in this game. Now, to be honest, this is a game that is actually very big for us. It's a very difficult season and it's a very important season. I think Manchester City, however much they are not good enough, however much they are not as strong as they were last campaign, they're going to be a very hard team to beat. They're going to be a very, very difficult team to beat. Pep Guardiola has set them in a way that they will score 1 or 2 goals or 3 on 1 or 2 occasions, and then they will make sure that they do not concede. So Arsenal need to start early. Arsenal need to start well. Manchester City have started well. We need to start well as well. And this is the game that actually shows that we are ready to capitalize on all the mistakes our opponents and our arch nemesis are going to be creating and are going to be creating for us. So Manchester United lost to Tottenham Hotspur 2-0 over the weekend. Newcastle lost 1-0 to Manchester City over the weekend as well. That is a massive opportunity for us not to go and say, what's up? That is a massive opportunity for us to go and close the gap. I think, look, if we can win 2 out of 2, go on the same level of points as Brighton and Manchester City, I think that will be all right. I think we can go around 6-7 games in this campaign unbeaten until we play Manchester City. I think it will be away at the Etihad. Maybe that is when we get to draw our first game or even lose our first game. But the first 7 fixtures, Arsenal have to be better, and we have to actually come out triumphant in the game. There's not so much to talk about in terms of form. Both clubs have only played 1 game. Of course, I don't want to talk about preseason because the last time I talked about preseason, Arsenal and Nottingham Forest told me, and that game actually taught me a lesson, that preseason is preseason. It is all about flexing the muscles, looking a little bit fit and things like that. But preseason is preseason, and preseason talk is preseason talk. So Crystal Palace won their first game against Sheffield United. They were away from home, by the way. They looked very, very well. They looked very good. They had a possession up to 58%, and the passing accuracy in that game was up to 82%. Now, of course, this actually highlights the quality of Sheffield United, but then it also highlights the weakness in Crystal Palace, that even if it was Sheffield United, they only had 82% passing accuracy. So against a club like Arsenal, we are going to be much better, and they will be much worse in terms of keeping the ball and also in terms of making sure that they are putting 1 and 2 together in that midfield. Arsenal did win their first game against Nottingham Forest, of course, beating Nottingham Forest 2-1. In a game that we had a lot of mixed reactions. People like me were really satisfied because I looked at the way we attacked. I looked at the way we actually govern the ball, the way we get. There's so many positives to learn from the game. But like Mikel Arteta said in his post-match and pre-match press conferences, there is a lot to improve on. I think that is where people actually get it wrong. There's a difference between improving, right, and being bad. I think Arsenal were not poor against Nottingham Forest. I think there is a lot to work on. I think there is a lot to improve on. For example, I think Kai Havertz needs to be a little bit better and also sharper in the final third. I think Eddie Nketiah should be a little bit available for players to pick him up, especially in the final third and things like that. But I don't think Arsenal were absolutely awful. But that was game day 1. Let's go to game day 2 and see. So who actually needs this game more? It's a question I always ask when I do my previews. I think realistically, both clubs will need this game massively. Arsenal, if you're trying to win the league, you don't lose against Crystal Palace in the second day of the Premier League. Whether it is at the Selhurst, Whether it is at the Emirates, you don't lose that game. You pick up maximum points. It's one game where we might actually win ugly, and that is going to be reflected in my prediction and thoughts. It's a game that I don't think Arsenal are going to be really better than the opposition. It's a game that I don't think Crystal Palace are going to give us that free ride in midfield and just allow us steer them through. I think it will be much tighter than that. But Palace need this game. After winning away at Sheffield United, they will be thinking, how about we pick up 3 more points and we start the season in such a fashion? Can you imagine how much confidence they will get if they can pick up a point against Arsenal, and that will be 4 out of possible 6 in the opening 2 games? It will be massive for a club that has been really undermined, for a club that do not have a lot of confidence, that don't have a lot of money to spend on these big players, for a club that are destined to finish in mid-table of the Premier League. It would actually massive great for them. So I think it's really important, and they're fresh. They will actually put in a shift. But for Arsenal, this is our title winning season. This is the season where whatever happens, we actually go on. We actually stride on. And with Jalen Timber injured, I think it's a big question for Mikel Arteta. Who is going to replace him, and can we actually go on without Timber? It's a big question that Arsenal fans are going to be asking themselves, and for me, my answer already is yes, we can go on without Jalen Timber, and the team will be absolutely all right. So this is an important game for us. Like I said, Man United and Newcastle have dropped points. That is number 1. But the number 2, in terms of importance, you want to catch up with Manchester City as quick as possible. You cannot allow Man City to open up a 5-6 point gap between you and them. Even if it's 2 points, it will get onto the brains of our players, and it will actually affect them. Okay, my prediction and thoughts: it's a game where Arsenal will have a lot of possession. It's a game where Crystal Palace will get us onto the break a lot, and they will score in this game. So that is my first prediction. Crystal Palace 1, Arsenal 2. Yeah, I know you're tired of the 1-2 scoreline, but the Crystal Palace one, the Nottingham Forest one, was not a realistic 2-1. This one is a realistic 2-1. I think Arsenal will win it away from home. Crystal Palace will score. They will catch us on the break because they have Olise. I don't know if Matthias França will be available for this one for selection, but if he is available, then he will be very, very key for them. 1-2 in favor of Arsenal. Okay, so this is how you expect both teams to actually set up, especially Crystal Palace. We've done our Arsenal lineup, but I'll just give you a little bit of what I think. So in their recent game, Crystal Palace, this is how Roy Hodgson actually set them up, with Sam Johnston in goal, a back 4 of Mitchell, Gehi, Anderson, and Ward. In midfield, new signing Jefferson Lama played alongside Cheick Doucouré. Jeffrey, is it Jeffrey or Jeff? Sharp, Eze, and Ayew behind Orton Edward, who was actually the goal scorer in that game. And they made only one change in that game, which was Mark Gehi out of the starting 11. Now, for Arsenal, this is what I expect Mikel Arteta to go with. Alexander Zinchenko to come in for Jalen Timber, Gabriel Magalhaes, Saliba, and White. Rice in midfield, Martinelli, Trossard, Kai, Odegaard, and Saka. That is the starting 11 that I want Mikel Arteta to go with. And you will have noticed that I've dropped Partey eventually. Right? I've dropped Thomas Partey, and it's easy why I've dropped Thomas Partey. I think it's a game where we will need only one holding midfielder. It's a game where we will need more of bodies forward than bodies backwards. Okay? So I still think one holding midfielder is enough for this game until maybe the 60th minute, 70th minute. Arsenal should be trying to press them into their own half rather than being wary of what they are going to do. So, key players in this game for Arsenal, I've gone with Declan Rice because they'll try to get us on the break. They'll try to expose Alexander Zinchenko. And because Declan Rice is a player who tilts himself towards the left-hand side, he's going to be very crucial, especially throughout the season, trying to cover for Alexander Zinchenko. If Rice can successfully actually cover for Zinchenko this season, and Arsenal do not get exploited on the left-hand side, it's going to be a different Arsenal. It's going to be a different team. Okay? So Rice is going to be very crucial. Defensive midfielder. He will be covering on the left and covering on the right. But then those late runs as well that he actually makes, the shots as well. I actually want to predict him to score in this game, but the scoreline is very thin. I'm not really sure I want to predict him to score, but I kind of have a feeling he will release a cracker and it might get to the back of the net. But probably, he releases the cracker and it doesn't get to the back of the net. The other player that I think is going to be very key for Arsenal is Kai Havertz. It's going to be about space. It's going to be about space. Now, you looked at the Nottingham Forest game and you looked at the role Kai Havertz played there, at times as a left 8, at times as a number 10, depending on what the demands were. In this game, we are playing a higher quality opposition. You look at Tyreek Mitchell. You look at Mark Gehi. You look at Joachim Andersen. You look at, probably Ward. I mean, with his experience, to be honest, he's the only guy that I would say not so much, right? And that's why I put Gabriel Martinelli as a key player in this game. But the three, Joachim Andersen, Gehi, and Mitchell, they're quality defenders. Like, I'll take Joachim Andersen at Arsenal. I'll take Mark Gehi at Arsenal, and I'll take Tyreek Mitchell, at Arsenal as well. So it's going to be tighter, especially with Jefferson Lama and now Cheick Doucouré sitting. Those are two well-built, box-to-box defensive midfielders. They have got a very hard and heavy engine, but then they're very good defensively. So I think Arsenal will have to scamper for spaces. We are not going to have it our way. We might not have it our way. It might be a little bit difficult. And Kai Havertz, the master of investigating space, is going to be very key. But then, when he investigates the space and finds it, can he actually finish? Big question. This is going to be under a lot of scrutiny in this game. Can he finish? That's a big question, right? Yes, you can find the spaces, but can you use the spaces to finish? The other key player is going to be Alexander Zinchenko. And I think Zinchenko in this game, just like at the Selhurst Park last campaign, he's going to be that extra man in midfield, but then he's going to be that extra creative player from deep. And that's why I love him, and that's why you guys actually loved Arsenal's system last campaign, because we had so many creative players in Zinchenko, Odegaard, Xhaka, and a couple of others. Of course, Xhaka was not that creative, but his ability to exchange with Martinelli on the left-hand side meant that he got into positions where he could cross the ball a lot of the time, okay? And I expect Kai Havertz to do that, but Alexander Zinchenko is back, and he's back, baby. Okay, Gabriel Martinelli as well is going to be very key. Like I said, if there is a weak link in this Crystal Palace side, it's going to be exploited by Gabriel Martinelli, and that weak link is this guy. Let's try to get him here. Okay, this guy. On the right-hand side, Joe Ward, okay? So if Arsenal can exploit Ward, right, shot number 2, if